Hello everyone. Today is my Shabbat, and what I'm going to do today is just a small little lesson on what time is it, and does anybody really care? So uh, I'm going to share some things that people don't know, and it's rather important to me, and I'll explain why. Yahuwah says the Sabbath day is important. Keep it. My Shabbats, my holy days, my Moedim are very, very important. And so if the president was going to come to my house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to make my house clean right at 2 o'clock, and I'll be waiting for him to be there and on time. I wouldn't be late for my appointment. I wouldn't, because I think sometimes the president is important. Well, to some people. He isn't to me, but I'm just using that as an example. Also, a doctor's appointment. If you had a doctor's appointment at 3 o'clock, you would be there right at 3 o'clock. If not, you probably wouldn't have the appointment. So when Yahuwah, the Father, gives us an appointment and a time to be there, I think it's very, very, very important to be there and on time. We know the beginning of the year starts in right around the spring equinox, which they call. That's in Exodus chapter 12, if you've never read it, and they call it Abib or whatever. Anyway, that's inconsequential. That's when the year starts, is the first month, and the first day is in the beginning, right around the spring equinox. Now, my wife say I talk softly, but I bark loudly. Anyway, when I was studying the calendars, because I wanted to know what time it is, I began to realize that, I was keeping Sunday as a Christian, and then I started keeping Saturday as a Messianic, and it just didn't seem right on the moon phases or on the calendar. And anyway, and the bottom line is, I found out the Gregorian calendar is nothing more than a Catholic calendar just written down, and it's not accurate for Yahuwah's appointments. I don't care about their feast days or any of their appointments. I care about the Creator's appointment. And when He says to be there, this particular date, this particular time, I want to be there. And so that took me on a 10-year journey studying calendars. And I studied the Enoch calendar and the Jewish calendar per se, and I studied a lot of calendars. And I've come to the point where I'm following a particular one, partly because it works. And the Father in Genesis 1:14 says the timepiece is the sun, the moon, and the stars. That's what tells us what time it is. And so I'm going to go through the sun today, which is rather important, and most people don't know the information that I'm going to share with you today. So if you pay attention, and I'll try and get through it as easy as possible. But first off, we're going to go through to Mark chapter 15, verses 25 to 37. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get that up for you. Okay, I don't know if you can read it or not, but let's see. It was the third hour they crucified him. And in the 6th hour has come, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour Yahushua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which is, being interpreted, my Yah, why have thou forsaken me? And some of them that stood by, when they heard it, said, Behold, he calls Elias. And one ran and filled a sponge with vinegar, and put it on the reed, and gave him a drink, saying, Let alone, let us see whether Elijah will come to take him down. And Yahushua cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. Okay, now, I shared that. I'll figure this all out here shortly. I shared that because in the scriptures it says 3rd hour, 6th hour, 9th hour. Well, what are they talking about? Okay, at that time, I'll tell you, they didn't have the Gregorian calendar, and they didn't have a 24-hour system, which we have today. Now, that may be confusing to some, but they used the Enoch calendar, okay, for this verse, these verses in Mark. With the Enoch calendar, you can tell exactly what time it was if you know how to read it. Now, it said 3rd hour, 6th hour, and 9th hour, okay? So let's find out what them hours really are, and let's totally ignore the 24-hour period and the 12 hours day and 12 hours night. What we're going to do is go back to the calendar in the book of Enoch, and I'm going to show you something that nobody has really ever seen before. And maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but they've never explained it to anybody. Now, I'll show you the sundial, and then I'll get into it just a little bit, okay? This here is the sundial, okay? This is the sundial that they had during the time of the Messiah. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a shadow on it a little bit. Okay. Okay. You can see there's 9 hours during the day and 9 hours at night. Alright? This is the calendar, or this is the sundial they used during the Messiah's time. And I'll explain it to you as we go along. So you can see the 3rd hour, the 6th hour, and the 9th hour. And the 9th hour during this time would have been sunset. The 6th hour is about the middle of the afternoon, and the 3rd hour is middle to late morning on this sundial. So let's keep this in mind. And now I put on here, right here, said 18 parts. Okay, I don't know if you can see that or not. 9 parts day and 9 parts night. Now, this is when the equinox, or the equator, well, when the sun is right over the top of the equator. Around Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the sun just crossed the equinox. And the day and the night are equal during that time. Okay, so with that being said, each part is 80 minutes long. And I'll get into that in a minute. Alright? I'll show you over here real quick, if I can get it. Okay? We have 80 times 18 equals 1,440 minutes. Okay? And we have 24 what am I doing here? 6 hours, 24 hours, and 60 minutes. 60 minutes. This is 80 minutes, and this is 60 minutes. Now, whether you have 60-minute hours or 80-minute hours, you still have 1,440 minutes during the day. Hopefully you can see that. So whether it's 80 minutes long or 60 minutes long, it's 1,440 minutes for a whole day cycle, day and night. Alright, so and when they were using this sundial, okay, this particular sundial, each increment, well, they called it parts in the Book of Enoch. Each part is 80 minutes long, and I'll explain why it's 80 minutes long in a minute. Actually, I'll explain it right now. Every 30 days, the month is exactly 80 minutes longer, or 1 hour and 20 minutes longer. Every month, every 30 days, the month is 80 minutes longer, or 1 hour and 20 minutes longer. And now it's either longer or shorter depending on what time of the year it is. Now, with that being said, you can tell how long 80 minutes, 80 minutes, 80 minutes, and that would have been the third hour. So 80 times 3 is 24. 8, 16, 24. Okay, so that would have been 240 minutes since sunrise, okay, or 3 parts, or if you can go with a Gregorian calendar with 24 parts, that would have been 60, 18. It still would have been, 3 hours and 20 minutes or something like that. But the reason I'm talking to you about this is in Scripture, okay? This is not something that we just, haphazardly just created. This is the gospel. This is in Scripture, okay? And so when they said the 6th hour was after lunch, more the middle afternoon, and the 9th hour as the sun was going down. All right. Now this is just part of the Enoch calendar, and the crazy thing is I had to do a lot of studying to figure this out, just to figure out what time it is. Okay. So it's the third hour, which is 240 minutes after sunrise. They crucified the Messiah. All right. So it was early morning, right before, around 10 o'clock, if you want to go by the Gregorian timeline. Okay. All right. Now, with that being said, let's go to the Book of Enoch. All right, the Book of Enoch. And why would I want to go with the Book of Enoch? Well, it's the oldest calendar known to mankind at this time, okay, even before the flood. All right, so when we go to the Book of Enoch, some people say, well, that's not in Scripture. That's not a canonical book or whatever. It doesn't matter. The ordinances of the sun does not change whether it's in the Book of Enoch or whether it's in the Book of Matthew. The ordinances of the sun do not change. Okay, so every 30 days the day is 80 minutes longer. That's been happening for 6,000 years. Now, we think in hourly rates, like in every 60 minutes, but that wasn't the way it used to be, or the way Yahuwah created the calendar. Yahuwah created the calendar in 80-minute segments, okay? And the sun operates in 80-minute segments every month, okay? And so whether you believe me or not, it's inconsequential. Whether it's from the Book of Enoch, it doesn't really matter. It's still happening exactly the same as it always has. Now, I have a chart, but I will kind of show it to you. I'm really not doing so good on the calendar, but or on the camera, not on the calendar, but let's see. This is the Book of Enoch, okay? Chapter 72. And I don't know if you can read it or not, but I'm going to put it up there anyway. All right? In the book of the course of the luminaries of heaven, the relations of each according to their classes, their dominion, and so on and so forth. But we get on down to here, and I saw 6 portals which the sun rose, and 6 portals which the sun sets, and the moon rises and sets in these same portholes. Now, first there goes through the great luminary named the sun, and circumferences of the heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating fire and heat, the chariots. Okay, I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to go. Okay, there are 12 window openings from which proceeds. Okay, so here, and back up, and this so guided that he to come to be fit, appropriate portal, and shines and ascends in the face of the heavens. In this way he arises in the first month in the great portal, which is the 4th. Okay, the 4th portal is the spring equinox, if we understand that. Okay, and the 4th portal from which the sun rises is the first month succession, and sets accurately in the 4th portal in the west of the heavens, and during the period of day becomes daily longer and the nightly shorter to the 30th morning. And so every 30 days it gets, the day becomes longer and the night gets shorter. And on that day, the day is longer than the night by the 9th part. So now we have parts, 9 parts day and 9 parts night. This is where the equinox begins. This is where the calendar begins. This is where Yahuwah set it up in Exodus 12, where it starts, where the day and the night are equal. And during this period, the day becomes longer and the night becomes shorter in the 30 days. And on that day, the portal of the east, 30 mornings and risings from it, it sets in the 5th porthole. Okay, so it goes from porthole number 4 to porthole number 5. Okay, alright, so I've got this up here on the board, if you can see it. Alright, we got the 4th porthole. Alright, that's the spring equinox. And then the 5th portal 30 days later, and then the 6th portal, and this is all going north. Okay, this is the 4th is spring equinox, and then this is the 5th, that's 30 days later, and 30 days later, and 30 days later. This here would be the winter solstice, and then the sun turns around here and starts going back south again. Alright, and then it carries on for all the way down to the 1st. Now I can't see for sure if you can see it, but okay, there we go. The 4th portal is the spring equinox. It's 9 parts day and 9 parts night. and it's all heading towards the north in the beginning. And the fifth portal is 10 parts day and 8 parts night, so 80 minutes longer. Okay, and then the summer portal, the sixth solstice, is 11 parts day and 7 parts night. So that's the longest day of the year, is a summer solstice, and that calculates to be like June 21st. And then once it gets done in the sixth porthole, it goes 30 days, and then it goes back to the fifth porthole, and it's actually 80 minutes shorter. Okay, so the sixth portal, it's 11 parts day, 7 parts night. Now it's going south again, and it's in the fifth portal, and it's 10 parts day and 8 parts night. It just lost 80 minutes. Every 30 days, it's either it loses 80 minutes or gains 80 minutes. And then it goes back to the fourth porthole, which is 9 parts day and 9 parts night. That is the fall equinox, okay? And it's around September 26th, somewhere around there, 23rd. Or, you know, some say it's the 22nd or 21st, but it's actually the 26th. But then it goes to the third porthole, and it's 8 parts day and 10 parts night. And then it goes to the second porthole, which is 7 parts day, 11 parts night. And then it goes to the first porthole. The furthest south that it's going to go every year is the first porthole, and it's 6 parts day and 12 parts night, and that's the shortest day of the year on the sun's calendar. And then it turns around and starts going north again, and this cycle happens every year, with or without our permission, and it's been going on for a long time. Actually, I'm going to show you a few things on the computer. Now, that's what I was trying to explain to you, and you can find this in Enoch chapter 72, and the verse 37. Its appearance according to Yahuwah commanded, as he rises and so he sets, decreases not and rests not, but runs day and night, and his light is sevenfold brighter than that of the moon. But as regard to size, they are both equal. So that's just an piece of information that you want to just kind of keep in your mind. Now, when I started studying this, it was like, okay, this is getting kind of strange, okay? You know, things that, but the calendar itself is 360 days, and every equinox or solstice is not counted. So there's 360 days plus the 4 equinoxes or solstices, and that makes 364 days. That's the sun's calendar. All right, and it's been happening for centuries. Now I'm going to show you a Peruvian what do you call it? Sun calendar, and it actually shows you. And I'll see if I can't zoom in on this a little bit. Okay. This is a Peruvian calendar they found in Peru. And you can see each stone where the sun will rise and set. Okay. This is 2,300 years old. Alright. And it's set up with the gates of the sun. Alright, that's just showing you, for instance. Now let me get to another one here. Alright. Alright, here's another one. If you can see it. And they found these in Peru, and they're not even sure how they work, but Yahuwah knows how they work. And it's just a way of them telling what month it is, because the sun goes in each gate every 30 days differently. Alright? Now this one here, it kind of shows you a little bit what I've been trying to talk to you about. Where it starts at the equinox, okay? And the day starts at the equinox. So this would be gate 4, and this would be gate 5, and this would be gate 6. And then it's the summer solstice, and then it goes back down. Okay, if this was the spring solstice, actually this would be the beginning right here at gate 4, and then you'd be heading this way, and this would be gate 5, gate 6, the June solstice, and then back down here you'd go back here to the fall solstice or the fall equinox, and then you go back down to the south, and this would be 1, this would be 2, and this would be 3. But they've got this confused. I'm just showing you this as an example. It was being used long before we showed up. Here's another example of it. Now, to go back to the Enoch calendar, alright. Now the Enoch calendar, or the Book of Enoch, was found 8 different copies in the Qumran cave, or the Dead Sea Scrolls. Alright. So it's not that it's any, it's just it didn't make the Catholic Bible, okay? Like I said, there was 8 copies found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and there are some copies that were found on another plateau in Israel. But another thing that was kind of interesting is the Book of Enoch was found in Ethiopia. Okay, and one of the funny things, or the great things or neat things about the calendar, or the Book of Enoch found in Ethiopia, is that the Catholic Church didn't have their hands down there. They couldn't screw up the Bible of the Ethiopians, because they weren't in control of that at that particular time. When they took control over it, they took it out. But in Ethiopia, everyone read the Book of Enoch. And you can go to the Book of Jude in the New Testament. He quotes the book from the Book of Enoch. And so when we look at these hours that are in the New Testament, knowing that the 3rd hour, the 6th hour, the 9th hour was not using the Roman time system, okay, or the Roman calendar. And so that kind of, in a sense, can sum it up a little bit, knowing that, again, there was a couple more And these might be pretty messed up. I don't know. I haven't done any fancy videos, but I'll show you this one more time. This is, and I actually can zoom in or zoom out. Alright, that's the Enoch calendar. You can see the equinoxes, the start of spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter, and 30-day increments. And every 30 days, right here, it's 80 minutes longer, 80 minutes longer, 80 minutes longer. And now it starts getting 80 minutes shorter, 80 minutes shorter, 80 minutes shorter, so it's right back to the equator. And now it's going to get 80 shorter, 80 shorter, because from this point on, the sun starts heading south, okay? And so it heads south for these 6 right here. And it right here is the winter solstice. It's the furthest south as it's going. And then it starts going north again, all the way back up to the spring equinox. So I'm just saying that this is the sun's ordinances. And I'm not even covering the moon's ordinances right now. I'm just trying to let you know what calendar they were using during the Messiah's time and why we should be using it even today at 80-minute hours on our sundial and not using a clock on the wall. And saying that, just saying that is, Yahuwah says, I want you here on this date and this time. If you don't know his calendar or his time, you're not going to be there and on time. So if Yahuwah set it up in 80-minute increments every 30 days, maybe that's what we should be doing. Okay? And if he set it up in 9 parts day and 9 parts night, 18 parts in what we would call a 24-hour period, he set that up. I didn't set it up. So knowing this, now again, I could probably make a better video, maybe with my wife's help, to get this information a little clearer to you. But today I keep this solar calendar, okay? And I also keep the lunar Sabbath as well, because Yahuwah says very clearly the sun, the moon, and the stars. And one last one I was going to show you is, it goes along with the astrology chart. Okay, and this is a picture of the astrology chart for today. Okay, and it also has the gates. Oh, I gotta zoom out a little bit. It has the gates, it has the sun, and it has the astrology chart, it has the moon in it. And so in gate 4, it's Aries, and I'm just not sure, you know, so all of these are the stars, the constellations, the sun gates, okay, and then the moon cycles as well. So this is what we have to use, is our calendar, is the 3-in-1, the stars, the sun, and the moon. And this just, and we're not doing it perfectly yet, but I'm just showing where we are at and trying to find out what time is it. Does anybody really know? Or does anybody really care? Well, I do, because Yahuwah set an appointment and he's keeping it by his clock, not by the clock on the wall, not by the Roman Greco calendar. He's keeping his time with his clock. So I'm striving very hard to keep my time on his time. And may you have a blessed and beautiful day. Shalom.